matter if you fit, you go into an environment where they have not hired any black people before.
This man was white, I guess.
These are the Jewish owners of this. This is the president, this is the vice president. And so you can see the rest of the staff, there were no more minorities. Well, there were no more black people. We had on there Italians, we had Hispanic people there, and Jews, basically.
And this company is
It's called
Kennedy and
Cohen.
Kennedy and Cohen.
Yeah.
Those are two good Jewish names. Well,
Yeah.
Cohen is.
Yeah.
Kennedy not
Yeah.
usually.
And a big mistake I made about this was that they offered me a franchise in Atlanta. And I didn't realize at the time they offered me that they didn't just offer me that out of in the store that I was running, the year before I grossed $4.6 million in that store. So I guess they figured if he can do this in this store, we can offer him the franchise.
So what were they selling? What were you selling? I mean, what was your job?
When I went there, I was selling refrigerators and TVs and, white goods and brown goods.
Mm-hmm.
But I was achieving at a high level because I kept the stats on what I was doing,
So you weren't a salesperson, you were a manager?
I started off as a salesperson.
Ah.
Yeah. And they saw how well I had done. So then they put me in a managerial position. And matter of fact, I still have the folder they gave me when I went there. That was 50 years ago. I have it. But I taught people to sell as I had sold, because this man right here took me by the hand and showed me how to do that. And so he saw that I could follow directions and teach other people to do it. Therefore, I was made a manager. So when they opened a warehouse store, they put me in charge of the warehouse store. And
so he saw you in high school as a high school teacher, and somehow realized that you had these abilities?
I went down after I stopped teaching school.
Oh, it was after you stopped teaching?
After I stopped teaching, I went down because a fellow had told me that he had been offered a job there.
Oh, I see, okay.
And I went there and they told me to come back the next day, and they did hire me.
And you sold them, essentially. And they said, this guy can sell us, he can sell them.
Yeah. So they offered me this job, and there was a man, his name was Pallett. He was president of the International Bank in Miami. He told them, I'll put up the franchise fee. Because what I didn't know, I had been discussed, okay? Because the man from the Western House Credit Corporation said, I'll floor plan the merchandise. So 2 people had already come into agreement.
On what basis?
They didn't know me, but I had done $4.6 million a year before.
Oh, and because of that, okay, yeah.
I'm sure that's the reason. But I was young. I was late 20s.
Late 20s?
I didn't know that deal. But had I taken that, I really
the Atlanta franchise.
Yeah, I couldn't, because I would have just been repeating what I'd been doing, But they wanted me to be in one of the top 7 posts they had in their organization, and I was good at it. I have to admit that I had learned it. And I taught other people to do it. But I don't know.
But you didn't decide to do that.
I didn't decide to do that, and I guess because I was working long hours, I said, don't want to continue to work long hours.
And you had a family back then, didn't you?
I had one daughter.
I
have my oldest daughter. And it's a story behind that. Yeah, I had one daughter, but when believe me, in any situation you go into, if you are excelling, there's somebody who wants to stick you in the back. Okay, just believe that. Okay. And there was one guy there who really wanted to do that because he asked one of the persons in charge, why did you all put him in charge of me when I came to this organization? And I learned from that. That's just shows, that's how naive I was, in my late 20s, I really thought that people had been reading with the same value system that I had been reading with. Not so. Not so. But that was something that...
Was this man white?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Matter of fact, it was only just about 12 years ago that I forgive him for what he did to me.
What did he do? Or maybe you don't know.
Oh, what he did to me, when I turned that franchise down, I was just going to be the manager in that store that I was in. Even though they asked me, even if I turned it down, they wanted me to be the manager over the southern area. I told them I just want to be the manager in that store. So when I
In the
did,
Florida one you were in?
yeah, the one I was in Miami.
In Miami.
And so since I didn't take that thing to be the manager over that whole area down there, they gave it to this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa! Then I was under him. He was not under me. Boy, did I catch it. He did everything. He made my life miserable.
Wow.
He did. So I knew. One day he asked me, he told me, he didn't ask me, he told me, well, Curtis, what I want you to do, I want you to go down to the retail store and get that straightened out down there. I want you to do this, this, and this. And I realized this was becoming cumulative, the things he was doing. And I figured I had some skills and competencies that I didn't have to deal with. So I said, Lynn, not doing it. I went and I picked up my stuff and I walked out. And I got calls from Federated Department Stores when they heard that I left. They told me not to take another job. They were finishing up some stores, and they were finishing up one in Fort Lauderdale, and they told me they wanted to hire me then, and they would just pay me until the store was open. The first time I ever had a non-job.
Wow! Wow!
I was paid
a retainer.
I was paid, but I enjoyed these guys right here. But they had a fellow in their clique who did not like me.
Would you have been under this guy in Fort Lauderdale if you had taken that store?
No. Taking this, in Fort Lauderdale, it's Federated Department Stores. I would have been in a whole different organization.
Oh, it's different. Oh, Federated. Okay,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, it was the whole thing. But they, I don't know, in the system, they found out that I had left Kennedy and Corn, because I found out after the fact that in the state of Florida, I had been the first black person to be hired in major appliances. I never knew that until they told me that the second person was somebody in Jacksonville, Florida, who was minority. But because you made more money, you had the potential to make more money. And what I had done, because this man really taught me how to do this, I started figuring out how much money I wanted to make each year. And I made a plan to do it. And so you have to check every week to see whether you're on schedule. If you're on schedule, you'll come up to that.
But if you're not on schedule, what do you do about it?
If you're not on schedule, you have to make that up. Somehow or another, you have to get back on
But you're
schedule.
trying to get people to buy things. Right.
See? Yeah. So you might have to spend an extra day, whatever it takes. You gotta if you're gonna make that amount of money, you got to keep your plan in place and work it. And this man really taught. He took me to his office one day, and he took out a notepad, and it was a 5-year plan that he had, and he said, "This is how you do it." So I learned from him.
And his name was
Harvey Rose.
Harvey Rose.
He taught me how to do that. And so, as a result, jobs that I took thereafter, I instituted things that Harvey taught me. Even when I was in state government, a lady asked me when I was in state government, how did you get this job? And I wanted to respond, but I didn't. But the reason she asked me that was because I had instituted the principles that these guys had taught me. If you want to stay on schedule. So because this was a profit-making organization, so you had to do things in order to yield a profit. In state government, you know, you can just drag your feet if you want to, really. And I started seeing some stuff not going according to plan, and I did it better because I had learned how to do that. And there was one lady who really wanted me out. She wanted me out of the state government job. And a lady told me, she said, watch out for her. She called that lady's name. She said, because she would stab her mom in the back, so you watch out for her. And she was right. But my skills and competences were so intact, and I was at the right age that I could do those things and not be threatened by my environment. Even though I went into some threatening environments now, where people didn't like it for what. One thing that I saw in state government that kind of blew me away was that in the state of North Carolina, no minority group had ever had a certificate of need in the state. I knew something was wrong with that. Because, you know, just hocus pocus throwing stuff up. Somebody should get a certificate of need. But what you start finding out that the government and the state system, the good old boy system really is tighter than you think it is. Like I said, forget what they say. Watch what they do. And what I did, since I learned how that system worked, and why no minorities would get a certificate of need. And I knew they should have, because we were, as black people, in a position to need some of those services more than whites or any other group. So we should have, just by the demand process, we should have been having certificates of need.
Now, for the non-Haddam people who might be watching this, can you explain what a certificate of need is?
Oh, yeah. In the state, services, hospitals, rural health centers, whatever health organizations there are going on. There's a system that says there's a need. You have to prove that there's a need for this service.
So if you want to create a hospital or a health organization,
you have
health center,
gotta have your stats together showing that this is the population base here. So many people suffering from this. There are only this many hospital beds here. You have to have all that together. So, if you are operating outside of that system, you don't know all the things to put together, you could just keep coming back, filling out papers to try to get a certificate of need, and you fail every time. But when I went back to chapter 2 of the plan, I read.
Of your plan.
I went back and I said, what is it in this plan that would make people come to be able to get a certificate of need? And I said, oh, it is so crafted the way this is done. There are checks and balances in the system. And if you don't understand how the checks are made and who makes the check, you will never get in. You absolutely never get in, because they could always make you fall on the periphery of this thing at the time. But when I understood how the need process was processed.
This is by Health and Human Services, North Carolina Health and Human Services.
And when I read through the plan, because when I was hired for that job, I spent a lot of nights going through files to see what has been done here, how was this done. So I came into understanding of what made it click. And I told two groups when I left there, this is what you have to do in order to get a certificate. I should go back and check, you know, to see whether anybody in other monasteries, because those two groups got certificates of need.
So which job was this that you had?
It was the title of it then was Chief of Medical Facilities Planning.
Chief of Medical Facilities Planning in the Department of Health and Human Services for North Carolina.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. I just had I was trying to explain to someone how this thing worked. For instance, this is something I learned very quickly when I read through it. To me, hospitals, teaching hospitals really have an advantage. But the way it works, you gotta know how to make the numbers jive. Because when you teach in hospital, you can make more, you can net out more than another hospital might be doing better, you know, hypothetically. But there's somebody who's always crunching numbers. And once you know how that's done, you can make it happen. Because the people in the legislature, I learned that some of those people had investments in those things, and they understood. And I haven't been involved in that in a long time, so I don't know. I think when I left, I think they changed some things, because I think they probably said, we can't get another one of those kind of guys in here. Because there are some things, they merged some things in that area. But the certificate of need is a very important part of operating successfully, making decent money in the health system. And I always thought that if people, just generally speaking, in the state, understood how this health system worked, they could see that there are a lot of things that might not be to their advantage, and they would know how to influence their legislators to get certain things to happen. But that was a learning process for me.
So when did you get that position?
When
did you get it? Yeah. Actually, I can look at your CV.
When did I get that position? What had I been doing just before that? I think at that time I had left.
That was 90, here, it says July 93 to June 1996. Chief of Medical Facilities Planning.
Okay, what came just before that?
Minister of Finance and Faith.
Yes.
And Health.
Yes. This this church system wanted me to be over there. Not just the health system, but the system of management of the finances. Because I had learned how systems work. You know, you can go any place. Once you know how systems work, you know, and they found out what I had done. I knew what kinds of places were giving grants, why they were giving these grants, and how you could go about to get them. And once you know that kind of stuff, because there's always somebody who wants to control systems by giving grants. People give grants, but it's not just an arbitrary thing to give grants. There's a reason behind that. And I had learned how that system worked. And when I was attending that church, I was telling them how you could get a grant for senior citizens housing here. And I sat down and I gave them a general overview, and they asked me about doing it. And I did it. Then they called me in and asked me if I would work for them. But even in working for anybody, unless you're working for yourself, watch your back. always watch your back, because there's somebody who wants to know, how can you do that? And how can I get you out and get it? That has been my experience, is that somebody wants to get in your place. The state had given me, when I was working for another organization, the state had given me some money, and they told me, that was his name, they told me that based on what I had been doing in the respective counties I had been working in, they said, you're touching more of the population that we want to touch in those counties. And it was, well, the WIC program say, we will give a grant to your program for $250,000, because you're already touching this population, and this would help you expand it even more. Well, that was a plus for me.
Rather.
But the people in the organization saw it was minus for them, because I was getting the plus over here. So they came together, and some of those people engineered to get me out. Because I was doing a great job, and I enjoyed the job. And but people who are in power and authority in organizations don't want you to have more power or authority than they have. And that's what started to happen. I started seeing it. Matter of fact, the WIC program, somebody from the WIC program called me and told me that this person called and said that you were out and they were in, but they still wanted the $250,000.
Of course, well, of course. Of course.
They didn't send it to them though. They didn't send it, and that program never expanded like that again for that organization. Never. Because when I went to India because Secretary of Health and Human Services at the national level had heard about the program and had somebody to come in and interview me, and that's the reason my program was chosen for the India excursion.
Who was that? Which Secretary of Health and Human Services do you remember?
Forgot her name. Well, if I talk
Okay,
to
maybe
you,
you should. Let me come back to your, so
Yeah.
be sure we can get the order here for people. So you got into the school of public health. You went from working for the departments to as an appliance salesperson to an appliance sales manager, and then you worked for the department store, and then you got out of that,
yeah.
and you ended up, and I think in the audio interview, you talked about what led you to the school of public health, if I remember
This is
correctly.
okay.
So,
Let me give you
Okay.
that little piece.
okay, good.
When I left Florida and I came to North Carolina, I had learned you got to put yourself in the same pressures to do whatever you're going to do. So I had given myself 6 weeks to get a job, and I came to North Carolina, and a relative of my wife said, "You mean you came here without a job, and they're laying off doctors at Burroughs Wellcome, and you came here without a job?" And I said, "Yeah." But every day, Monday through Friday, I got up as if I were going to a job, and I went to all of these places. I had a list every day, and I did that from 8 to 5 every day. So about the 4th week, I went to the student aid office and
At UNC.
at UNC. And I interviewed there. They didn't have any minorities there, but there was a demand for somebody to fill a position there, so I went. And I was given the job. I was given the job there. And while I was there, this is how I got into the school of public health. While I was there, I guess I worked for a couple of years.
This was like 1970, 69?
70, somewhere over there. The thing that happened last week that was about Bobby Primus Heath, It was.
Bobby Primacy, you know of her.
Okay, it was, she and John Hatch wrote a lot of health stuff. They did a lot of research and stuff. And so Bobby knew that, I had proofed a lot of stuff for a lot of people who were doing writings. And so they were bringing stuff over for me to go through it. And so we got into a discussion one day, and they were talking about something that was happening in Chapel Hill. This is how this thing happened. And I said, no, I see what you have written here. I say, but that, whatever that was, so that's not so. I say, you could go down to the funeral home where those guys sit on those benches, and you could ask them the same thing, and they would tell you this is not so. And so they laughed, and they said to me, well, if you're so smart, why aren't you in the School of Public Health? It was really funny, but we laughed it off. But they came back within a week or two and told me that in the School of Public Health, they were going to start a new program called the Non-Physician Health Director Program, and that I should go over and interview for. And I did. And I got the job. So
Not the job, you got a traineeship.
Yeah, I got, scholarship. I got
Fellowship.
grant money to go to school, and I was trained in that
This was in the Department of Health Administration.
health administration, yeah.
So who was your advisor? Do you remember? I should ask. Sorry, if you remember.
What's his name? You told me you interviewed him.
I interviewed him.
Yeah.
In Health Administration.
In health administration.
Have I don't think I've interviewed people in health.
No, you made a video of him or something. He's
I'm embarrassed if I can't remember either.
okay.
Okay, we'll come back.
Okay. Well, he and my wife and I both got into the School of Public Health at the same time, because not only did I get that particular thing, but my wife got a stipend to go into health education, so we were both in there at the same time.
Now, so Bill Small must have been involved in some of this recruitment. Maybe not.
Not in
Because
that
he was
particular-
new then,
Yeah,
I
but
think.
but he did encourage us, because my wife told me, she said, if you had not been in epidemiology and biostat at the same time, I was thinking that, she said, I don't think I would have gone to that. But we studied together, and so we got our degrees at the same time. But that program positioned me to really get involved in health issues. And I did my field experience in Dade County, Florida, in Miami. So much so, Dr. Milton Sasslaw told me, with the stuff I did, he said, you should be in med school. He flew me back up here. The man's name was Taylor, who was over the med school here at UNC. Something Taylor.
Not Farabee Taylor, right? He was chancellor, but I don't think he came through medicine.
Well, the father of the guy who was.
Oh, do you mean James Taylor's father?
James Taylor's father, yeah. So, this is what, when Dr. Sasslaw came back up, and he was talking to Dr. Taylor, and Dr. Sasslaw was telling him to say, they would call it, they were friends, so they would call him by their first name. He said, this is the case. I'm outside, okay, but the door was ajar. So I heard the first part of the conversation say, these are the kind of guys who should be in med school. So he said, but Milt, he's 29 years old, and I got some guys in here who need to be in this program who are like 24. He said, I can't see how I can do this. He said he would need, and he was telling about courses I would need. He said, don't worry about it. He said, anything that he needs, you tell me, and I'll see that if whatever he needs in terms of the educational part of this, he said, you just get it in the program. And so by this time, while they're talking this, they realize the door's ajar. They closed the door. But
Wow.
he must have told them that, you know, I'm 29 years old and black, and I got all these white guys who trying to get into this school. You know, it can't happen. But I didn't, you know, I didn't know.
And you hadn't even applied.
I hadn't even applied. This guy flew me back up there. Because this is something during my field experience in Miami, I learned a lot of stuff. Because I was an older student, I had had different kinds of experiences. Matter of fact, I didn't even know that in Dade County there was a Indian reservation in that county. It's the Miccosukee Village. I went there. I didn't, and when they had the cases of 900 cases of gastroenteritis aboard the cruise ship, I went out with the epidemiologist. So I got involved in the process. When they used to call them bleeding stations, when they would take blood and, you know, and separate it out downtown, pay the trucks for their blood. I wrote all that stuff up that was happening, and some people died because they fed the wrong stuff back to people. 2 or 3 people died. I kept all those records. But I think the thing that really got Dr. Saslaw was that I was put in a room one time with some 4x8 cards, and what had happened was that they were making decisions about people getting hysterectomies or being sterilized. Well, after I went through like 20,000 of those cards and all those boxes, after I had gone through some of those boxes, I saw that there were people who had mild dysplasia who were getting hysterectomies.
This is 20,000 cards.
Cards. I had to
20,000.
I didn't go through all of them, but that's what I was going to have to go through.
Wow.
And so
mild dysplasia, and they were getting hysterectomies.
And they were getting hysterectomies. I started seeing a pattern. So I took the cards into Dr. Saslaw. I said, Dr. Saslaw, I see a pattern here of people who have dysplasia who are not getting it, people who have mild dysplasia who are getting hysterectomies. And I said, and all the people who are getting hysterectomies are either black or Hispanic. And he had his glasses down like this and he was, I said, Curtis, my boy, you're right. He said, I'm glad you saw this before somebody from the state was going to be coming in 2 weeks, and they would have found out what was happening. And he was able to get some things straight systemically, because there was a lady physician. This was a unilateral decision she was making. That's what it was. So they got rid of her and put her back in Jackson Memorial Hospital. She was not in the health department again. But those kinds of things, Dr. Saslaw saw that I was able to do.
Now, what was Dr. Saslaw's position?
He was the head of the Dade County
Dade
Department.
County, okay.
Dade County Department. And see, that in that county, there were 17 municipalities in Dade County. So that was the first time I'd heard the word nosocomial infection. I'd never heard that before. I went out with the nurse in the southern part of the county, and she was telling me about that they had this infection in Beta's eyes, and what had happened. They brought in epidemiologists. They traced all of the people who had touched with newborns, and there was this nurse who had been doing this silver something. I forgot the stuff they put in the baby's eyes. But what she had been doing was tearing anything with the cold out, or dropping it in. The infection was in my mouth. And I just, I learned from going out with nurses, learning going out with the sanitarians, to different places. I learned more stuff in my field experience than a lot of people learn in a whole formal class setting, because I was put in the actual work setting to see stuff happen. And that's the reason Dr. Sasnow told me that I needed to be a doctor. He said, you need to be in med school. What? Blew that one. But it was, it was an interesting experience, and I had a chance to discover things in that environment that I never would have.
It's a good argument for field training, which I didn't get. So I'm realizing the shortcoming of my own education.
Yeah, I had a good field experience with the sanitarians and nurses, and they taught me stuff. They told me stuff. When I went to the Miccosukee village, there was a disproportionate number of suicides, and the language that was spoken was not a written language, it's just a spoken language. And they brought in people to actually get the language down so that, it was a written language. But they showed me things and told me things, and I had a chance to work with people there who told me, some of the older people told me that in that village, they had people who came in under the peace flag and took advantage of them under the peace flag. I mean, they just told me stuff. It was really interesting to see a lot of people have been exploited along the way, and they still are being exploited. Right.
So then you got your degree in health administration.
I got my degree in health administration.
That was in 74, right?
I'm trying to think, what was the first job?
18 months, it would have been 73, I guess.
I got a.
Then you worked for Division of Community Health Services, right?
Is that the way when I was going, I was going out in this field, I had 33 counties.
You may have done something first, I don't know, because you don't have it on your CV. Your CV starts in 75, but I know my wife worked in DCHS, Division of Community Health Services.
Right.
And you came in to work in her same office she did.
Yeah. Matter of fact, Howard Barnhill had, I had come in under AHEC funds. And so.
Yeah, Howard was in charge of AHEC for the Division of Community Health Services.
Yeah, and I had, I had a pretty solid position there. But we got a fellow in, Bob Robinson, who came in, and I didn't know he had done this until somebody in the, where the funds were, in the comptroller's office, told me that Bob Robinson had switched me off of permanent funds to temporary funds. And so when I got ready to retire, I couldn't retire because the monies that were in that 5-year period that he had taken me off were not permanent.
So you came off the retirement system then?
And I didn't even know that. I didn't know that until it was time for me to retire.
Oh my
And
goodness.
they explained to me what had happened. And I went back and traced through the system.
My goodness.
And because Bob Robinson had taken me off the permanent funds and put me on the temporary funds.
So you no longer were paying into the retirement system?
I was not able. So
Unbelievable. And he didn't even tell you that he was doing that?
who's going to be? People were afraid to talk about Bob Robinson. He was Charlie's right-hand
Charlie
person.
Harper's associate director,
Yeah,
I think.
so they were not going to talk about him. I'm just a person working in the department. Now, who are they going to fear, me or Bob Robinson? So when I went back and I couldn't retire, what do you do? But they told me that's what had happened. And, it was, boy, it was really nip and tuck for a long time, because I didn't, I had already figured,
Yeah.
what I wanted to be able to do and all that, but.
Yeah, I mean, and you would have vested in for the healthcare benefit?
Yeah.
The health insurance benefit?
All of that.
Because you were there
just-
5 years.
Yeah, but because of that,
Wow.
that's what caused that colors at the scene.
Wow.
But that's a part of my history, a lot of stuff gone down. Wow. You got kids in college, and you're trying to balance stuff, But,
Wow.
I think that particular situation, and the situation of my not being able to go to the camera room, were two of the more unbalancing things in my life. More so than my not doing the franchise in Atlanta. Because I was younger then, I didn't go to Atlanta for the franchise. But this thing really rocked me pretty.
Yeah, well, and you were presumably of retirement age when you discovered this, and that's a hard time to do it.
Yeah, totally exactly what I am.
That's really amazing.
But, did you get to the end of that?
Well, so, I'm not sure, so it's been about an hour and a half, something like that we've been talking, and maybe that's a good time. We could just do a few things to
Okay.
finish up, and then I think we need to come back and do another interview with the second part.
Okay.
So, that's a preview. You did the 5 years at the Division of Community Health Services in the School of Public Health. And then you went and worked with the General Baptist State Convention
I
for
did
10
about
years.
Yeah.
You were the state director and initiator of health and human service programs for General Baptist State Convention.
Yeah.
And were you working with Anita Holmes then?
No, Anita came, when I left there, it's when they tried to get Anita to perpetuate what I was doing.
I see, okay. Was John Hatch working with it then, when you were working with it?
Yeah, matter of fact, all along the continuum, John and I had association because we had worked things out together through the School of Public Health to write grants for that.
Mhm.
And that's the reason when I didn't go to the camera room, they wanted me to do it because they knew that I knew how to make that work.
So when were you supposed to go to the camera room? What year was that, do you remember? Was it like 1980?
Well, whatever year it was that I went into the General Baptist State.
So it was 81. Well, it was 1980 when you left the School of Public Health, and 81 when you started with the General Baptist State Convention.
Okay, so it was somewhere in that time
So it would have
frame.
been the end of 1980, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
And when you were in the school,
Mhm.
I guess when you were a student, were you working with the minority student caucus at all? Were you active with the caucus?
Just on the peripheral,
Mm-hmm.
not deeply involved in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, because I didn't see your name on the thing, but I've been looking through the documents in the archives.
No, but I helped, what's his name? Just because my background was English, I helped some people write up some stuff, and
Uh-huh.
I had input without having input,
Mhm.
so that was a plus for me. I knew stuff that maybe I shouldn't have even known because I was reading people's stuff they were writing and all.
Mhm.
But I enjoyed the linguistic part of it because I had an English instructor who told me, Curtis, if your thinking is ragged, your written communications will be real ragged. And that lady used to pass my papers back looking like a Christmas tree. But she taught me to think,
Mhm.
in a streamlined manner and write it down. So I got a latest book on me. I proofed her book, I forgot what it is now.
Oh,
But, because I had done that a lot for people. So, you know, I didn't charge people. I didn't even charge her really, but she said, if I had had to pay for this, she said it would have cost me more than
for a whole book?
Yeah,
Oh,
for
yeah.
the book.
Wow.
But, I don't know, I had read a lot of things like that, and I've gotten a lot of information because I was able to do that. And I told her, I said, well, let me tell you what you can do. I say, for your own writing, I said, because you're a good writer, I said, let me suggest that you get the Chicago Book of Style and put it in your library. I said, because this way you can save yourself a lot of money. You don't have to be paying me again. You can go through there and you can look at how I did this and you can check it by that. So when you write your next book. And she was just telling me about that recently. But yeah, that was my situation in this school of public health, and how I came to know a lot about different dimensions of public health. I remember.
That's kind of how you got in, because you were proofing things for John Hatch and
what's Dr. Vernon Greenberg was coming down the hall. He said, Curtis, my boy, you got to get in the doctoral program. We got to see you a little bit. And he passed, and what's the man's name from India who was at health administration? Just saying.
Sagar James.
Sagar James wanted